The world is watching, and it's being locked out of the 2026 World Cup. The world is preparing to gather in North America. Flags are being waved. Tickets are being purchased. And for a fleeting moment, it seemed like nothing could stand in the way of what FIFA has branded the most inclusive sporting event in human history. The 2026 FIFA World Cup, jointly hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada, is being hailed as a once-in-a-generation spectacle. With 48 teams, 16 host cities, and millions of fans expected to attend, it is the largest tournament FIFA has ever organized. Stadiums in Houston, Atlanta, New York, and Los Angeles are undergoing massive upgrades. Contractors are working around the clock. Hotels are booked. Airlines are adding new international routes. But now, something is quietly unraveling beneath the surface. On June 4, 2025, President Donald Trump signed Proclamation 10,949, a sweeping executive order that revives and expands previous travel restrictions targeting what the administration calls high-risk nations with failed vetting systems. The order bans nationals from 12 countries outright, including Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Afghanistan, Yemen, and Syria. Partial restrictions are placed on 7 others, including Venezuela, Cuba, and Nigeria. To many, it sounds familiar. But this time, the stakes are different. This time, the world is watching. And this time, the United States is supposed to be the host. The policy, marketed as a national security safeguard, comes just 1 year before kickoff. And while the executive order exempts players, coaches, and team officials, the vast majority of the people who make a World Cup possible are not covered. That includes fans, family members, cultural delegations, independent media, support staff, vendors, and event coordinators. The result is an unprecedented contradiction. The United States is hosting the world's most global event, while simultaneously locking out large parts of the globe. This is no longer speculation. These are confirmed policy terms, already enacted, already enforced, and already causing chaos. The Department of Homeland Security implemented the proclamation on June 9, 2025, and almost immediately, cracks began to show. International fan associations began halting travel arrangements. Event organizers in African, Middle Eastern, and Southeast Asian countries started shifting focus toward Mexico, the only co-host that doesn't enforce the same restrictions. Because unlike the United States, Mexico and Canada have made their positions clear. They will impose no nationality-based bans, no visa restrictions tied to political vetting systems, and no limitations on fan or media entry. That contrast is now driving a quiet diplomatic and logistical fracture in the tournament's foundation. A visa crisis in the middle of a global tournament. Even before Trump's proclamation was signed, visa wait times were spiraling out of control. According to data from the U.S. State Department, visitor visa appointments in countries like Iran, Egypt, Nigeria, and Kenya already exceeded 300 days. In many cases, they now extend to nearly a full calendar year. FIFA officials, national teams, and VIPs are able to bypass these delays through a fast-track diplomatic channel. But fans, journalists, private contractors, and cultural groups are not eligible for the expedited process. They must apply through the general system, and that system is already buckling under pandemic-era backlogs, staffing shortages, and now political pressure. In some cases, consulates have become completely unresponsive. Travel planning has transformed from a dream into a bureaucratic nightmare. Let's be clear. This is not just an inconvenience. It is a policy failure with global consequences. Fan groups from countries like Ghana, Morocco, Lebanon, and Algeria have already begun canceling hotel blocks and charter flights. Travel agencies are pulling out. Tourism boards are revising projections. Stadium planning committees in the United States are privately scrambling to manage uncertainty around international attendance. Houston, which is set to host
The United
5
States
to 6
Travel Association
matches
estimated
at
over 5
NRG
million
Stadium,
foreign visitors
has
would
already
attend,
issued
with
a
spending
public warning. In a June 2025 statement, its World Cup Planning Committee reported that ongoing immigration enforcement activity, lack of federal coordination, and diplomatic backlash are negatively impacting hospitality planning and vendor confidence. The same pattern is emerging in Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Miami. Hotels that had previously committed thousands of rooms for international guests are seeing bookings flatline. Some have started asking for upfront payments. Others are refusing to release rooms until they receive visa confirmation lists, something that may never come for many fans. A symbolic disaster. The case of Iran nowhere is this contradiction more visible than in the case of Iran. The Iranian national team has officially qualified for the 2026 World Cup. Its players, coaches, and support delegation will be allowed into the United States under the tournament's athlete exemption clause. But their fans? Fully banned. There is no exception, no workaround, no backdoor. Iranian citizens are not permitted to enter the United States for any purpose under Proclamation 10,949. So even if an Iranian fan has a valid match ticket in Los Angeles, they are not allowed to enter the country. Period. That contradiction has already triggered emergency discussions within FIFA. According to leaked documents from a regional planning committee, several of Iran's scheduled matches may be moved from U.S. venues to Mexico in order to avoid a diplomatic standoff. But that fix creates its own complications. Sponsorship allocation, broadcast schedules, and ticketing systems would all need to be overhauled.
Neither country
Iran
directly criticized
is not
United
alone.
States policy.
Sudan, Libya, Somalia, and Yemen face identical bans. Other countries including Nigeria, Venezuela, and Cuba are effectively blocked due to visa processing delays. So what happens when fans can't follow their team? When journalists can't cover their nation? When families can't attend the tournament that was supposed to bring the world together? The answer is simple. This stops being a World Cup global outrage. Economic fallout in 2022. Fans from the Middle East and Africa generated hundreds of millions of dollars in tourism revenue during the Qatar World Cup. They filled planes. They booked hotels. They bought jerseys, food, and sponsor merchandise. That financial ecosystem is now in jeopardy, not because of disinterest, but because of access. Even fans who are not directly banned are being discouraged. Social media is flooded with posts from disappointed travelers who've waited months for visa appointments with no response. In countries like Kenya and Algeria, appointments are backed up into mid-2026 months. After the final match is scheduled to be played. One tourism executive in Texas captured the mood in a press briefing last month. We are hosting the biggest event in the world, but we are not letting the world in. Sponsors are noticing. Companies like Adidas, Visa, Coca-Cola, and Qatar Airways, all heavily invested in Middle Eastern, African, and Southeast Asian markets, are now reviewing their marketing exposure plans. Internal risk assessments are underway. One European beverage partner reportedly asked FIFA directly, if the fans can't attend, why are we spending millions on on-site branding? So far, no major sponsor has pulled out. But anxiety is rising, and silence from FIFA isn't helping. Canada and Mexico step into the void. Mexico's foreign ministry released a pointed statement in June. Mexico welcomes all participants and spectators without restriction or discrimination. Canada followed days later with its own version, reaffirming full access, open visa channels, and inclusive entry for all World Cup attendees. Neither country directly criticized U.S. policy, but the message was unmistakable. And now the pressure is mounting. Some national football associations, like those from Algeria. Venezuela and Iran have already requested that more of their matches be held in Canada or Mexico. The reasons: visa access, political neutrality, and fan safety. FIFA has not responded to those requests. But behind the scenes, regional football federations are reportedly furious. Confidential briefings obtained by European journalists indicate that several federations are preparing to challenge the United States' ability to deliver an inclusive and global tournament under current restrictions.